Hello and welcome back to Yeyu Lab. You must have heard about Gemini's new Storybook feature. It lets you to input one prompt to make a very interesting stories with pictures, texts, and sound. Do you want a clone that has the same level of quality, consistency, and even with more extensibility? Today we talk about building your own version of children's storybook generator. It's easy to customize and commercialize, and it can also work anywhere without the limitation of location. So let's get started. Gemini Storybook is a tool from Google that came out in August 2025. Like it said, it can create personalized illustrated stories about anything with read aloud narration. Just describe the story you want, add files and photos if you like, and Gemini will create a unique 10-page storybook. Basically, it's a very straightforward application by using Gemini's models. So it's free in the Gemini as a gem, but only in some countries like the normal Gemini models usage. If you haven't tried, you can try it first. This is an example for a 7-year-old kid that cannot sleep at their grandma's house. Let's create a storybook to help that. Okay, the gem has created a storybook called Willow's Sleepover Star. It's basically a fox journey to its grandma's house. So you can see basically the characters are all consistent, but sometimes like the grandma's hair still different. Okay, it's good, but you can see there's still some defect by creating such storybook. You can ask the Gemini to further optimization, but you can't change much about it, especially how it works. So for business or extra ideas, it's hard to scale or add things. So that's the reason I built my own application to create storybooks, because I want something I can tweak. For example, add more pages, change the style more freely or more restrict, or use different models if I want to deploy this application in different countries or areas that has the limitation of using the commercial models, or even free models that I can save cost creating infinity number of books. So in today's demo, I kept it very simple for just kids story. Users put in the children's name, age, and interests. The story make the kid the main character. That's our plan. For the system design, I used the text model to generate the story and image model to make the pictures. To keep everything in line, I set up the agents that work together instead of one prompt to create all. Each agent does one part, like planning plot or making image prompts. And I use AG2 framework for this. AG2 handles the agents and their chats and the orchestration, which is a framework for multimodal, multi-agent development. If you don't know what is AG2, you must know AutoGen from Microsoft team as their formal name. It's open source, and agents talk to each other to solve problems as before. So you can set up conversable agents with roles like one for writing, one for art. It has things like group chat where agents pass messages back and forth. You define each agent with a name, message, and model. It keeps state, so one agent sees what others did. For this project, it fits because the actual story is being built step by step by humans. So for test, I used GPT-5 mini, which is enough to create decent story text. For images, I used the GPT Image 1 to make sure everything is under control. So for this demo, I haven't put narration function into the process because it's very straightforward. You can easily use some text to speech models to convert to the sound output. Okay, so firstly, let me show this demo to see how this storybook generator works. Python generate storybook v2. Okay, here it asks me to input my child's name. I input Adam. For the age, 8. The child's interests, I would say cooking with Lego blocks. Number of pages, I would say 5 pages. Okay, let's start. So the AG2 group chat has started. You will see the first speaker concept developer is trying to generating its speech. Now you see the entire story concept has been generated, including the title, Adam and the Break Bakery, and the login line, and the number of pages, and the characters inside that, including the Adam, which is the hero inventor, and the Chef Break, which is a magic Lego minifinger sidekick. And also the entire setting of the environment and the entire journey of the story, and the plot outline, that including the beginning, middle, and end of the story journey. And now the story writer, which has created the texts based on the concept that generated by the concept developer. Now it moves to the image part. So firstly, the art director come out to give a composition of the visual effect and elements, very detailed for each page. And now the prompt illustrator is trying to generate the final image prompt that will be passed to the GPT image 1 model. Okay, the prompts have been generated for each page. You will see there's a lot of repeated information copied from one prompt to another to make sure the characters and the environments are totally consistent. You can see a lot of same messages like how the clothing looks for the character and what is the action doing with the Lego. Now the group chat has ended because everyone has generated a satisfied output. So let's input exit. After exit, the process has turned to the generating of the real images. The first one is the cover images that input the title and also the prompt into the model. So there is a new folder has been created for storing these files. Cover image has been saved. This one, which is very good, right? Adam and Break Bakery. Okay, it took a while that all these 5 images together with another cover images has been generated. And now the entire book has been created. Let's see. Make it smaller. Adam and Break Bakery. This is the first page. Adam was 8 and loved to cook with Lego. He set on the colorful mat, spread bright bricks like fall and berries. The second page. The third one, and look, he got trouble. And the last page. So you see that the characters are very consistent, and also the environment and the settings are also consistent throughout the entire book. So which is the biggest challenges that we have resolved. Now let's see how to develop it by taking a look at workflow and roles and responsibility of each agent. You can think of this like a small box studio where you have a team and each person has a clear job. Once the user give a basic idea like the name, age, and interests, then the team take over. The first is the concept developer, which is the leader, author, or editor in the real life. It takes the client idea and builds the big picture as a story brief, which including the quick summary, key characters with exact looks like hair color, clothes, and the setting, a simple plot in 3 parts, and the style for the pictures. They make sure the kid is the hero, the tone is fun and hopeful, and there are small lessons like being kind. Then the story brief is passed to the story writer, who is the narrative writer, getting the brief and turn it into a full story text, split into pages. The number is defined by the user. It will follow the plot, use easy words for relevant age, and make it follow well. No visual stuff here, just the words to be printed. And then all this information moved to art director, which is the visual planner. It looks at the story, text, and brief, then describe what each page should show, things like where characters stand, their faces, the background, light, and mood. For the cover, they add where to put the title text. They copy character details exactly. If there's a text in the scene, keep it to 2 or 3 words at maximum to make sure the text is well printed. And then finally, the visual plans move to the prompt illustrator, who is the prompt expert for AI image generation. It takes the art directions and style and then make detailed prompt for the image model. They copy character details word for word into each prompt for consistency, focus on the main characters' simple backgrounds, and for the cover, make it bright and add the title. This is the workflow of this agent orchestrator. By using AG2, the internal orchestrator will look at their output, their sequence, and work with the users to make sure everybody has already generated the satisfied output. And then all the stuff will put to the processing of the images and PDF, and finally renders and converts into the PDF file. Let's see the designs for consistency throughout the agent's cooperation, because the consistency of the images is the key for the project success. So the system message of the agent concept developer asks the agent to create very detailed, precise descriptions for each character, including the physical appearance, exact clothing details, distinctive features, or other animal characters and their accessories. These are the information that will all being returned in the story brief. So the later agents exclude the story write, which is only focused on the text generation, like the art director, which is being told to important, you must never modify or add the character descriptions provided by the story brief. Reference the exact character descriptions when placing character in scene, but do not alter any physical attributes, clothing, or distinctive features, right? And moving to the prompt illustrator, this agent is told to must copy the exact character descriptions. The character's consistency is your top priority. Do not paraphrase, summarize, or modify these descriptions in any way, including these features. So this is a consistency for characters. It also makes sure environments and scenes and settings are all aligned and consistent. Another attempt is to let the agent knows that it should add limited number of characters that will be very hard to the consistency. And also I use the structured output by using pedantic models forces output to be stable JSON format, which makes it easy to parse and use without errors. These steps make the final prompts reliable for generating images that match across the board. Now let's see the other important pieces of the code. Again, for the full source code, you can find them in my GitHub repository, which link is listed in the description below. So for the project, firstly, you should make sure you have installed the AG2 and OpenAI support, and also the report lab, which is for the PDF generation. The pillow is for the image creation, and the Pydantic, which is for the structured output in JSON. We will look at main function, which is in the generate storybook v2. This is the entry of the application. I provide the terminal input to start the process. You can easily customize it into a web-based UI application that can handle the user input more friendly. And here the generate storybook function is the high-level controller that initiates the multi-agent system by calling the run agent orchestration function, which is a block function internally called group chat initiative by AG2 framework. After its execution complete, then triggers the image generation process by calling generate image, and finally calls the build PDF to assemble the final book, which is very straightforward process in the high level. You will also notice there is another generate storybook Python file, which contains the only different approaches for image generation. Internally, use the reference image from actually the cover page for consistency output for the later storybook pages. And for the V2 storybook generation, there is no such mechanism, just purely use the prompt to ensure the consistency, which looks not bad for the real actual practice, because we are not only want the consistency of the character heading or environment, but also want the storybook more random in some fun part, right? Which is a balance for consistency and excitement randomness. And then let's see the core of the AI part, which is in the agent orchestrator. Here we have the run agent orchestration, which is the most critical function in this pipeline. It initializes all the agents. Here the orchestrator agent has been deprecated because we don't want a dedicated agent to do the orchestrator. The internal AG2 group chat can do the orchestration. After all these agents created, we create a group chat where this agent can collaborate, and then creates the initial message that kick off the process based on the user request by including the child name, child age, interests, and the page count extracted from the user input. Finally, we call the user agent's initiate chat function to kick off the entire multi-agent conversation, which is the internal function of AG2 by including manager that orchestrated the group chat and the initial message that kick off this chat. After the chat completes, we save all the messages from all these agents. And then here is a process that the agent's conversation has been precisely extracted from message lists. It finds out the JSON output from each agent and pieces it together into a single clear story content. This is the key that turns into a usable plan from group chat output. And also from the key components, we have seen the agent's definition file where all these agents has been created. Here you will see we define the model for these agents, and the real model definition is in the .env, including the OpenAI API key, output dir, text model, image model. Here we use the GPT-5 mini, and image model we use the GPT image 1. The page content has not been used. The image size we use a portrait frame, and also we set the API type as responses, and also the response format that including the Pydantic model that we defined at beginning. And also we have the image generator files, which contains the process of generate actual images working with the image model by using OpenAI API, and save these images into the local outputs folder. And in the final step, we have to build the PDF. So we have the PDF builder. In this file, we assemble all the assets, including the text and the images, into a finished product. So in the build PDF, take the story title and the cover image file and list of page image paths, and then use the report lab library to construct the final PDF. So for the customization, you can replace its output on the web application, just like the storybook of Gemini, to give the user more animated interactions. That's all for today. If you have further questions or ideas, please drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.